Good day, everyone, especially to Dr. Maida El Kadtong. We are the Group 3 to discuss to you the basic principles in educational planning. And these are the group members: Jaya Jade B. Hero, Marites M. Molino, Julie Pearl D. Canoy, Jezabel M. Camilon, and Sir Antonio Flores. In our previous topics, we have discussed what planning is, the types of planning, the significance of planning, and historical development of educational planning. The next logic question to ask would be how to start planning. These topics provides the basic considerations that any planner needs to keep in mind for an effective and efficient planning exercise. One of the basic principles of educational planning is change. We all do believe that the word change is the only constant thing in this world. Everything changes when time comes. Everyone aims for a change, for the betterment, and achieve all goals and plans. The heart of any planning activity is a desire for change. Change as a goal and as a constant component of the planning process, and change that emanates from the internal and external environments. Since the goal of the Department of Education is to provide quality education, therefore, as administrators, we should look back to the mission and vision of the department. Also, as an administrator, we should consider the internal and external factors that contributes the change in our school. Our plans should not be considered as things which are fixed. They should be ready for evaluation. Frequent assessment of different components enables future adaptation of the plan according to changing conditions. This pandemic brought so much change to educational system of our country. Different learning modalities emerge like radio-based instruction, modular, and online modalities. Kaufman, Herman, and Waters, 1993, argue that education must change much of what it does and how it does in order to become a contributing partner to our new realities. This means that plans must fit to the need of time. For example, our basic education curriculum into revised basic education curriculum and today we have the K-12 curriculum, for which aims to produce globally competitive individuals, since our last curriculum is not acceptable to other countries. Change is inevitable. This means that we cannot avoid the change. Whether we plan for it or not, some sort of change will happen. It is better to plan to determine the desired change and to avoid undesirable outcomes. Education is operating in a fast-changing environment due to technological advancement, new political ideologies, and economic realities and social factors. We are now in a modern world, so everything has changed. We future administrators should be flexible enough to this advancement, since we are now in the 21st century, engage ourselves to technologies for us to be active in all areas, because technologies gives us information, current events, or political and economic issues. Education thus needs to plan for change in order to bring contribution to this environment in which it belongs. We are the agent of change because we are molding the hope of our country, the Filipino learners. The second principle is need assessment, in which it is a process used by organizations to determine priorities, make organizational improvements, or allocate resources. This means that need assessment prioritize needs so that users of the assessment can address specified needs in a reasonable order and devote appropriate resources to meeting identified needs. Therefore, planning activities are also based on need assessment, which is a process of identifying and acquiring an accurate and thorough picture of the community problems. This is achieved through collecting, analyzing and interpreting data that will form a rationale for stating some interventions. For example, one of the problems in schools nowadays is the reading performance of the learners. In order to measure their performance, we need to conduct reading assessment through field theory tools. Then, after collecting those data, we need to analyze and interpret where is now their reading level, if it is in frustration or independent, through also by the use of field theory tools. In this way, we could interpret or give right interventions for them. The process of need assessment helps planners identify unmet gaps, prioritize needs, and select the most important resolutions. A planner needs to identify the strengths and limitations of the current problem before formulating a plan to solve it. In short, need assessment are able to determine the best means to achieve the desired results.
To our professor, Dr. Maida El Gadong, to my fellow educators, good day. I am Marites M. Molino, your today's discussant. My topic for today is one of the basic principles in educational planning, and that is consulting stakeholders. Stakeholder consultation is being adopted as standard practice in planning and management. But before we will tackle about consulting stakeholders, let us know first what stakeholder is. Stakeholder is anyone who is interested in, affected by, or wielding influence in relation to our project. And who are the major stakeholders in education? It includes students, school administrators, teachers, families, parents, local business leaders, and community members. According to Poraholia in 1993, the information campaign is vital in order to explain the aim of the plan and to enlist the support of leaders and local public administration. Consultation is not only with the public but also with everyone involved in the organization or project planning. Since consultation is process of involving others in information, sharing, and collaborative discussion to reach agreement on commonly agreed goals and plan of action to address those goals. In education, this is done during the planning of school improvement plan, wherein all major stakeholders, representative of parents, administrators, and teachers gather together to plan about the needs of pupils and the institution. The planning team should also be aware of what has been thought of and drafted. In most cases, educational planning is for societal needs rather than for the planner's benefit. This being the case, beneficiaries of the plan need be aware and involved in what is going to affect their lives. This cannot be done without consultation. The main purpose of consultation is to expand dialogue with affected stakeholders and produce valuable information supporting the collaborative vision for education. It also gives stakeholders a sense of ownership in the plan's goal and vision, and meaningful consultation are better positioned to successfully execute the strategies laid out in planning. And another one basic principle of educational planning is data collection and processing. When we say data, it is a collection of facts from which conclusion may be drawn. The collection and analysis of relevant information concerning the educational system and related socio-cultural and economic factor is a necessity because they form the basis for preparation of planning. Such information provides the necessary foundation for assessing the existing situation of the educational system. Through this data collection and processing, we will be able to know what our present situation of our educational system and our beneficiaries. It can also be used for making projections regarding the future development of the educational organization. The types of data required for planning can be classified into two. First, data internal to the system. This consists largely of internal qualitative data such as age, culture, religion of students, conditions of resources or facilities, and other quantitative data such as statistics on the number of laboratories, number of books in the libraries, playing fields, pupils' age, class size, and teachers' qualification. When we say internal data, it is the information, statistics, and trends that organizations discover through their operation. It is private or proprietary data that our institution owns, controls, or collects. It is a data retrieved from inside of the institution to make decisions for successful operations. Just like the age, class size, teacher's qualification, and school physical aspects, by collecting this, we can adjust our plan based on their population, capabilities, and needs of the institution. The second type is data external to the system. This data refers to the external forces that affect the organization of the project to be planned. As we have mentioned before, the organizations do not exist in isolation from the external environment. External data may comprise information affecting the expansion of organizational facilities such as cultural, political, economical, and environmental factors. When we say data external, it refers to any type of data that has been captured, processed, and provided from outside the institution. Just like our local government, benefactors, their culture and practices, political and economic status of the community. We also consider the environmental aspect to support strategic planning.
Good day everyone, and most especially to our Professor Dr. Maida L. Cantong. I am Julie Pearl C. Canoy, and I'm going to discuss to you the continuation of basic principles in educational planning. So, another basic principles in educational planning are selecting the planning team and develop clear planning goals and strategies. First, select the planning team. So, another important consideration that the planner needs to keep in mind is how to select the planning team. The planning team should be selected from internal and external groups. Who belongs to the internal group? It includes members of the organization who will be involved in the planning process. For example, in educational settings, this should include teachers, support personnel, and learners. So, why they are included? This is to assure that the plans will be done to professional standards and will be acceptable to those who will benefit from it. Next is the external groups. Who belongs to the external groups? The external groups should be selected such as parents, religious leaders, politicians, and other professionals from varied fields. So, why they are selected in the external groups? This is to ensure that there will be broad ownership of the plans that are developed.
Internal and external data collection and need assessment will provide several options for planning. All opportunities cannot be part of the plan. This demands selecting opportunities and prioritizing activities. A planner needs the skills of prioritizing to schedule which action should be taken first and by what activities it should be followed.
Another basic principle in educational planning is develop clear planning goals and strategies. It is desirable for the planner to have an idea of what to expect in the future. So why is it desirable that we have an idea and expectation in the future? This is to avoid the risk of unexpected surprises and impractical policies based on the haphazard guesses. In addition, a planner needs to be clear enough about the relationships between goals and mission and vision of the organization. There must be organic relationship between them.
Good day, everyone. I am Jezabel M. Camilon, reporting the basic principle in education planning. I will discuss to you the following topic, which is the plan implementation, monitor the plan, and budgeting. An implementation plan is an outline, the steps that your team should take to accomplish a shared goal or objective. So these plans combine strategy, process, and action and will include all parts of the project, from the scope to budget and beyond. What is the purpose of an implementation plan? So the purpose of an implementation plan is to ensure that your team can answer the who, what, when, how, and why of a project before moving into execution phase. In simple terms, it's the action plan that turns your strategy into specific tasks. How to create an implementation plan in 6 steps. First, define goal. Determine what you hope to accomplish when your project is complete, like whether you hope to win over a new marketing client on your internal content strategy. Tips to consider are: ask questions, brainstorm risk scenarios. Second, conduct research. Once you have a broad idea of the project goal you want to achieve, you can hone in on these goals by conducting research such as interviews, survey, focus group, or observation. Tips to consider: collaborate using shared tools. Third, map out risks. You will map out all the potential risks you may face in your project. Tips to consider: be flexible and proactive. Fourth, schedule milestone. Scheduling your project milestone is an important in the planning process because the checkpoints help you track your progress during execution. Tips to consider: add wiggle room and clarify dependencies. Fifth, assign responsibilities and tasks. So every action plan must include a list of responsibilities with team members assigned to each one. Tips to consider: communication is key. Track responsibilities in a shared tool. Sixth, allocate resources. Allocate resources is the best way to reduce risk. If you can plan out what resources you need for your project and ensure those resources will be available, you'll avoid the risk of running out of resources mid-project. Other benefits of having implementation plan. First, improve communication between team members and key stakeholders. Second, better organization and management of resources. Third, increase accountability for everyone involved in the project. Fourth, more structured project timeline and daily workflow. And the last, easier collaboration between team members. Going straight into the execution phase without an implementation plan may feel like you walking on stage to give a speech without knowing what you're going to say. So, preparation is the key for the top-notch performance. Next is budgeting. The word budget came from a French word budget, meaning a little bag. It is a process of preparing statement of the anticipated income and proposed expenditure. Budgeting is the product of the collaboration process, requiring a clear understanding of the school goals for improving student outcome and its plan for achieving them. The importance in preparing a school budget. In educational institution, the realization of desired educational objectives and goals depend largely on the effective planning and management of the school funds by the school administration. When you create a budget, you are creating a plan for spending and saving money through control. These are the major plans involved in the preparation of the school budget as noted by Ikidogwo 2007 are: first, the education plan, which defines the policies of the school, its program and activities, as well as the other educational services to be carried out. Second, the expenditure plan, which translates its educational program and services into costs. Third, the financing of the plan, which set out the meaning of meeting and the costs of the educational program and services. To ensure the prudential and judicious spending of funds and accountability, school manager should plan and prepare budget for their school. These are the principles of budgeting. First, be conservative, not optimistic. So, as an educational manager who have the responsibility of budget preparation and development should have a good knowledge of budgeting principle for the efficient and effective financial management. Second, teamwork and consultation. So one of the most important principle of budgeting is that requires teamwork and consultation. Third, allow plenty of time. So budgeting is the inevitably time consuming. So a good budget may be worked out for several weeks, if not months, adding and changing figures as new information comes to light. Fourth, excellence in documentation. So it is very important that the authors of the budgets strive to produce documents that can be read and understood by anyone. Fifth, provide training. So ensure that the people who have a significant role in budgeting process have a reasonable understanding of the principle of budgeting. Last, get sign off. So this is another one of the budgeting process which agrees to find final interaction of the budget. Lastly, monitoring the plan. Monitoring activity is to collect information that will inform and facilitate improvement in classroom practice. It is essential that the information is recorded in an agreed, consistent manner which will allow the result from different experiences to be sensibly collated. The process of monitoring. The monitoring process can be defined as having three specific stages. Firstly, an agreed understanding of what areas of activity is to be considered and which quality indicator are being used as a focus. Secondly, an agreed procedure as to how the desired information is to be found. Thirdly, an agreed method for recording results in order to progress constructive evaluation. It is essential that all three procedural stages are in place before monitoring activity commence. These are the stage what to do. First stage is what do we want to know? The area or areas of activity to be monitored should be expressed in terms of how good in our school to or child at the center or the improvement strategies defined within the establishment's development plan. Second stage, how can we find out? There is a range of strategies that can be used for monitoring purposes, and it is important that the time is taken to identify the most appropriate strategies for the particular purposes required. Monitoring and evaluation can be used to demonstrate that the program efforts have had a measurable impact on expected outcomes and have been implemented effectively. It is essential in helping managers, planners, implementers, policymakers, and donors acquire the information and understanding they need to make informed decisions about program operation. Monitoring and evaluation helps with identifying the most valuable and efficient use of resources. It is critical for developing objective conclusions regarding the extent to which programs can be judged a success. Monitoring and evaluation together provide necessarily data to guide strategic planning to design and implement programs and projects and to allocate and reallocate resources in a better way.
Good evening once again, especially to our Professor Dr. Maida L. Cantong. This is Antonio Flores, your last discussant of the group, and my topics are time management, planning for evaluation, and communicating the plan. Let's discuss first time management. What is time management? Time management is the process of planning and exercising conscious control of time spent on specific activities, especially to increase effectiveness, efficiency, and productivity. Meaning, a good time management are organized and well planned on how to divide your time between different activities. Get it right, and you'll end up working smarter, not harder, to get more finished works and less time, even when time is tight and pressures are high. Why is time management important? Time management increases your focus and improves your productivity, meaning greater focus allows you to capture bigger opportunities. It also allows you to spend more time on the projects, goals, and people that matter. Time management is important in helping you achieve greater focus and prioritization. Time management in organization is most powerful when it's combined with analytic tools such as productivity, benchmarking, and its spans and layers analysis. When planning for organizations, projects, and individuals, planners need to be able to manage their time well. If planning is to translate into implementation, timing reflects the order, and time limit with this group task must be subjected. Next is planning for evaluation. An evaluation plan is a written document that describes how you will monitor and evaluate your program so that you will be able to describe the what, the how, and the why it matters for your program and use evaluation results for program improvement and decision making. Meaning, it is important to establish an evaluation plan before the program starts to make sure that evaluation research questions measures methods align with the evaluation goals. Why is it important to evaluate the plan? Evaluation provides systematic methods to study a program, practice, intervention, or initiative to understand how will it achieves its goals. Evaluations help determine what works well and what could be improved in a program or initiative, meaning a good evaluation will make an assessment on how well activities have been implemented and whether these activities made a difference. Evaluation activities emphasize the overall judgment made about the plan and its impact. Planners should develop indicators for expected outcomes and impacts so that these form the basis for performance, measurement, and evaluation. And this can be done through identifying the information needed to evaluate the outcomes of the plan, information, and feedback to be collected, how and where from, who should be involved in collecting evaluation data, and how they will store and analyze and report it. Last but not least, communicating the plan. An educational planner must communicate full information and use open presentation of every component of the plan to different stakeholders in order to make them understand and accept the plan in the view or making day-to-day decisions that will support the plan implementation. Meaning, it is how you're going to communicate important ongoing project information to key stakeholders. Your communication plan will help your team understand who should be getting notifications and when to loop in project stakeholders. Importance of communication plans. To clarify the relationships between audiences, messages, channels, activities, and materials. Going through the communications planning process will help you identify who you need to reach, tell them what you want them to know, and how will you reach them. Meaning, a communication plan will help you clarify how you're going to communicate with your project team and project stakeholders, whether these are internal team members that work at your company or external stakeholders like customers or contractors. It is the end of my report, and thank you for listening.